share my screen and start talking esports.
Perfect.
All right, if anyone has any questions while I'm speaking, feel free to throw them in chat. I will address them as they come up, unless I am going to speak to them anyways in the presentation. This is not an overly formal PowerPoint. That is not my strong suit. It's strictly, I guess, informative, just nice Concordia blue, and then I throw a bunch of pictures on it. So, I guess, intro. So my name's Lewis Smith. I'm the eSports director here at Concordia University Wisconsin. I graduated from the University of Minnesota in 2015. I majored in sport management, so I always planned to work in professional sports. I didn't realize it would turn into esports, but I started here at Concordia in January just of this year, so I've been very new, so I only got a couple, full months before we got sent home, but my short time in person was great. Concordia is an amazing campus, atmosphere, the people have been great, and like me, for a person who's bringing esports to this school, it's not always the most well received, but everyone at this school has been extremely encouraging and curious about the whole industry. So it's been a really fun experience. We got a few people, so we won't all do intros, unless Kelsey, did you want people to do intros too?
Sure, if you'd like.
If anyone is able to talk, I know some of you are typing in chat. If anyone wants to unmute and say a little about yourself and just whether how much you know or your experience in video games and esports, that'd be fun.
You guys can put it in the chat too, no worries, and we can read through it as Lewis talks more.
Okay, yeah, you guys just can, I'll stick to the chat. I'll be the one talking. So my transition into esports, just a little more background on me. Like I said, I majored in sports management at Minnesota, and while I was there, I worked for the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, and I was always, on a mission to work in the traditional sports industry. I just grew up an athlete. It's all I played, all I watched on TV and everything. But then after college, I switched to esports because I was very passionate about fantasy sports, fantasy football, fantasy baseball, fantasy basketball. I play it year round. And I realized that fantasy esports has that same professional scene and the same statistics, which was a real love of mine, and I could bring fantasy into esports. And the esports and sports industries are a lot more similar than I expected. The high skill level professional competitions, the organizations that are in there are very, very similar. So it was a really easy transition for me to make while I am there. So what are esports? So esports are a little different than just the video game industry. Video games is just pretty much, anything you play on a console or PC, but esports are video games played professionally. So video games, the video games that are esports are ones that are extremely competitive, that you're able to play them at the highest level. There's professional organizations made that feature teams and pro players for different esports, and in esports there's major events and leagues across the entire world with prizes going from $1 million to $27 million. So here are an example of a couple of the biggest esports in the world: League of Legends, Overwatch, and Counter-Strike. So these are just three examples, three of the most well-known ones. Like I said, not every video game is an esport. These are all games that really support a competitive aspect, not just like a Super Mario, play the story mode, finish the game. These are where you are going against another real player, and it's got a very large following and user base in order to support that game. So, like for example, there's very small games out there that's tough to compete in when there's such a small amount of players out there. But when you have a game like League of Legends that has millions of people playing every month, There are competitive events, competitive leagues, just online ranked systems that you can play and really compete at the highest level for that game. So then at Concordia, our team was founded and it was announced in about November, and then the program started when I started in January. So what's really cool about what Concordia has done with esports is that it is a varsity sport at Concordia. If you pay attention to colleges around the US, a lot of them are adding esports, but they're really just doing it as a club, which is like a non-committal way to like dip their feet in the water and see like, oh, we'll see how it goes. We don't really know a lot about esports, but Concordia just 100% fully committed, fully supported. And what it means that it's a varsity sport is, in Concordia's eyes, the student athletes on the esports team get just as much of support and attention as the players on the football team or basketball team. So currently we have about 70 plus students across 15 different titles. So what I mean by titles is, I mean different esports that people participate in. So esports is kind of the umbrella term. Within esports, we have a lot of specific teams focused on each title. We launched the program with the computer science department. They were able to give us an area to build our arena in, which is amazing. And if anyone's interested in computer science, they're really, that department's really integrated in our team and our arena. So it's a really good opportunity for people to get to know that staff and just have a little more of an in with the department. But yeah, so we have an arena on campus. So we have a temporary one right now as we get ready to move into our permanent one. So in our temporary arena, we have 17 gaming rigs. We have 12 PCs, 5 consoles, all top of the line equipment, which is really nice because esports, the equipment does make a large difference. So anyone who comes to Concordia to play esports never has to, buy a piece of equipment on their own. They get 24/7 access to the arena. So they use that for practices, they use it for matches, and also if they just want to play in their off time recreationally, they have that access. So, technology can limit some people in esports. That's like the really only limiting factor to compete. So Concordia, like I said, full committed, put all this money into buying the equipment, and we got to play in there for about 3 months this year, and it's amazing. And it's only getting better. We're getting more equipment. We're getting stronger internet, a private network, so you don't have to share the internet with any other student on campus. We're really trying to go all out. So I said titles and different esports. Don't memorize this or try to even read all this. This is just an example of some video games that are considered esports. Some of the biggest ones I mentioned earlier, like League of Legends, Counter-Strike, and Overwatch, are ones that we have teams for. But then, as you see on this list, there's some smaller ones, something like Valorant's a new game, Smite and StarCraft are smaller games. So what's really cool about what we do is we are able to create new teams under the esports umbrella as we please. So my policy on all the games that we have teams for is if there's student interest, which means that if it's a 5-person game, like Smite's a smaller 5-person game, if I have 5 people that want to play and then they can prove to me that it has a competitive scene out there, I'll field a team and we'll practice and we'll compete as much as possible. So it's just a matter of making sure that we have competitions to sign up for. There's games like League of Legends, Call of Duty that have very established competitive scenes just because they're so big and popular that it's really easy for us to find competitions in. But for example, there's a game called Brawlhalla that before this year I never heard about. And then I had a student come up to me and say, I play Brawlhalla, there's all these competitive events. A week later I had 2 people on my Brawlhalla team and we were competing that next week. So we have a lot of flexibility and a lot of students can really have the experience they want. They can play one game and just focus all their attention on one game, or they can compete in 2 games Maybe one's a team game, maybe the other one's a single player, it's easier to balance, or maybe the competitive seasons don't overlap with each other, and you can do one more fall focused and one more spring focused. And then, so some unique aspects of CUW, like I said, CUW really went all in for esports, and they're one of the few colleges, especially in the Midwest, to do so. Esports is still a lot more popular out west, so the Midwest has been a little slower to adapt, but CUW adapted and adapted quickly, so we're kind of groundbreaking what we're doing in especially Wisconsin. We're not an NCAA sport, which is good and bad. So we play for college, we are student athletes, but since we aren't NCAA, it really opens up opportunities for us to compete in more events, compete against different organizations. So for the sake of like an esports team, we are a professional esports team running out of a college. So we'll do collegiate events where we go against other colleges in the nation, but we will also do professional events where we are going to a DreamHack and competing against professional teams. So that pretty much makes up our the combination of collegiate events and non-collegiate professional events are what make up our competitive season. It's really not structured. Competitive or collegiate esports is still new enough where it's still growing a lot, and having available and consistent competitions is one of the things that is still yet to, I guess, catch up with the demand. So it's good and bad. It's bad because consistency would be nice, but the good part is, I tell my students, I'm very honest with them, we can compete as much as you want. I have students that have at least one tournament every single week, even through the summer, because they want to compete. They want to compete for scholarship money. They want to get better, and I give them the tools to do that, and we're able to do that. And I have other students that focus on practice and then just compete in the larger events. And then recruiting for esports is a little unique. You know, if I'm a basketball coach and I'm recruiting basketball players, I go to a high school basketball game, and it's right there, and it's a lot simpler. So esports, I have to be a little more creative, and that's why events like this are so great, because it's people who play video games, have interest in video games, and even if they're not the most skilled people, if they want to become the high skill level, if they want to compete, they have a spot on our team. A lot of what I'm doing right now is I'm not just chasing the best players in the world. I'm chasing the right people who are dedicated, who are willing to commit to CUW rather than just highest ranked player in their game. So for CUW esports, what is really nice is since we are a varsity sport, we do offer a lot of extra opportunities for students. So one of the big ones is competing for scholarship money. So this is a very unique part of collegiate athletics. No other team is able to do that. So we will be competing in events where if you place high or place in first, you do get scholarship money that goes directly towards your tuition. So pretty much every collegiate event that we sign up for gives scholarship money as a prize. For example, my Call of Duty team is entering a tournament starting in June, and the team who wins, each player gets $50,000 towards their scholarship money. So there's a lot of money in there. So that's a big thing of people deciding what they want to get out of esports. If they want to just compete and try to get scholarship money, they can do that. We're also partnered with the computer science department. So people who are interested in computer science, being part of the esports team is a very good opportunity to just spend more time in that department, get to know the faculty and staff more. The director, his name is Michael Littman. He's probably in the arena even more than some of the students are. So it's a great way to get to know him. There are student positions and internships available with the team. I have a couple students, one who wants to work in esports professionally as like a team manager. So I give him an internship, and he's getting a resume builder with what he's doing. He's helping me, run the organization. I have another student who's a graphic design student. He's done a lot of graphics work for me, so I'm working with him to get him school credits for the work. So it's a good opportunity just for people who are looking to build a resume, get some extra credits, just kind of refine a specific craft. And then at the end of the day, you're part of a larger community. We have 70 people on the team. We have over 110 people in our Discord. It's just fun. I mean, everyone is just, they went there, they joined the Discord or joined the team because they have a passion for gaming. Doesn't matter which game, all games are pretty much accepted. And it's just nice to go into college knowing a group of people that you have similar interests with. And then on a side note, there's extra benefits to being a student athlete. You can get help with athletic training, tutoring. You get a little more, access. I don't want to go too deep into it because I don't think it's a huge difference, but student athletes are treated a little different than your normal student, which is beneficial for the people in athletics. So how to join the team. So all full-time CUW students are eligible to join the team. Like I said earlier, you don't have to have a specific amount of skill in any game to join. Preferably you all have experience just playing a game as a whole, but you don't have to be high ranked. But my big thing that I stress is you do have to be dedicated and committed to competing, to practicing. I have players that wanted to join right away, and they're like, oh yeah, I play Madden, I'll join the team, and then I never saw them at a practice and they didn't enter any competitions, and those aren't the people that we have on the team. Even if you're not great, I just need to be working with you on a plan to get better. So if you are interested in joining the team, even like before you commit, if you want to talk to me about it, I'll give my contact info in a little here. But pretty much the steps is you just reach out to me personally. I get to know you, you get to know me, just kind of talk about a plan. Step 2, identifying a game or games that you could see yourself competing in. And then once we're able to solidify the fact that you're going to be able to come to Concordia, that you're committed to practicing, want to start competing, you and I work with each other to build out that schedule. And it's really as simple as that. Once you're here in person, we'll do a couple more steps to make you an official student athlete. But I have recruits that committed a month ago, and I already am setting them up with competitions this summer. So we're in a unique spot where we can function completely online. We're actually the only CUW sport to compete all of spring, just because we went completely online. So we have some extra opportunities through that. So to kind of wrap up, we'll go through questions. So if anyone has any questions, please put them in the chat. But this is my email. You can email me with questions, with saying you want to join, honestly, anything that's on your mind. We're big on Twitter. That's the biggest way our team announces competitions, announcements, updates as a whole. So you can follow us on Twitter. And then if anyone watches Twitch, for those who don't know, Twitch is the largest streaming service in the world. That's where pretty much all esports are broadcasted. So we have a channel on there that we broadcast all of our matches on and some practices. So if anyone is used to Twitch, I would definitely recommend checking that out. And then Kelsey gave me the assist, and you can see that link to Twitter in the chat there. That's our gaming arena. So it's something that we got at the start of this semester, and we've missed very, very much right now. Yes. So within 2 months, we went from absolutely nothing to a team of over 70 players with this gaming arena. And this is just a temporary one. The permanent one is going to be over 4 times as large with 3 times as many gaming setups. So we grew very quickly. We're new, but you really wouldn't tell from looking at us. And that just kind of emphasizes how great the community's been at Concordia. The fact that we can just grow this quickly and build a giant team out of people who didn't even know each other before is super exciting for a person who's just starting out. So if anyone has any questions, please send in the chat. I don't want to keep blabbing. You guys don't want to hear me talk for another 20 minutes. But I guess, Kelsey, I'll go to you first. Is there anything else that you think would be very valuable for them to know? Maybe questions that they would have that they aren't asking on their own?
Sure. So one thing I do want to note is if you are interested in working on campus for an internship or something like that, make sure you're clearing it through the Concordia International Center first, because there's a lot of visa things that we need to make sure are being correct, because we don't want you to make a mistake, and it's very difficult to rectify or fix a mistake when it comes to visas, specifically with working and international students. Also, I wanted you to say something about how the esports team is the only team still playing right now during the pandemic.
Yeah. So like I kind of touched on it a little. The fact that this pandemic has obviously changed a lot about what has been happening with collegiate athletics. You saw pretty much every single spring sport get canceled, and even though I was sent home from campus, our students were sent home out of the dorms. We honestly haven't missed a beat when it comes to competing. Communication has taken a little more effort because we don't have that face-to-face conversation, but esports is in a unique spot where if we need to go 100% online, we can. So, we're prepared for situations like this, and it just gives us an extra, tool. Like, I'll have students that can't compete from the arena, they're out of town, or the arena's full and they, want to get some extra practice in. People can practice from their dorms, they can compete from their homes. Like, there's a lot of flexibility in what we're doing. So it really allows us to make sure that, we can get the experience we want, whether we are on campus, whether we are in a different country. As long as we have access to the equipment, we can still, practice and compete like, like we're all sitting in the arena.
Right. And I don't want to ignore Mohammed, but so we'll get to your question. But also something that Lewis, that you're really great at is helping students balance between their love of video games and also the need to be healthy people who are also students.
Yes, yeah. So for me, like, if you guys come to Concordia, which I hope you do, and if you want to join the team, that would be amazing too. The big thing I focus on is, like, esports is amazing. It can open up a lot of opportunities. Competing is fun. Being part of a team is really fun and rewarding. But ultimately, the main goal of going to college is getting your degree and getting your education. So everything I do with every single one of my players, they really all have a tailored plan of how esports helps them to achieve larger things, and how we are able to balance their esports competitive life with their life as a student. Which, some people, it's like I said, compete as much as you can. Some people want to be professional streamers. Some people, it's still more of a hobby. So I always want to make sure I'm filling my team with good people. So, we have regimented workout schedules. It's not as grueling as something you'd see with a football or a basketball team, but physical fitness is important. Mental health is also extremely important. Esports, you spend a lot of time on the internet. It can be a very toxic place. So we have a mental health lab on campus that actually every one of my students will be certified for. And it's just a good place for some mental health exercises related to meditation, related to breathing. Just everything adds up to just being a complete person. Mm-hmm. So then Kelsey, if you have any questions, you can ask, but I'm going to hit these couple that are in the chat. Yeah. So Mohammed asked if we have racing games like F1 and Forza. I've seen competitions for Forza. I would have people in a Forza team. I did not get any student interest. So if you think you're good or want to compete in Forza, and I would just, look online, make sure we can set up some consistent competitions, and then I'd be happy to add a Forza team. And then Giovanni, can you join the team before arriving campus? Yeah. So the recruits that I've had that have committed, our official CW commits, I already am working with them on setting up competitions for the summer. we're not doing like a regimented practice schedule. If they want, I can establish that. Summer's difficult, but there are competitions that are happening every week, mostly pretty small since the school year is not active right now. But, you know, for me personally, if I can have my recruits getting some competitions under their belt before they even step foot on campus in the fall, that is just a huge advantage for them and our team.
And Mohammed says he would like to. That's awesome. We would love to have you.
Yeah, no, racing games are great. And I don't know if anyone's seen NASCAR. So NASCAR, obviously, you know, the sport was canceled for a bit. And in order to make up for the in-person races, they were doing e-NASCAR, e-racing. And it gained a lot of popularity. It really satisfied people's you know, need for sports. And I think that's great for games like Forza. You know, racing games aren't paid as much attention as other ones, but they can be just competitive as every other game. And actually, the only racing game we had a team for was called Crash Team Racing for the PlayStation. A small game, surprisingly a high amount of competitions. That's why we were able to add it. But something like Forza would be a much easier racing game to compete in.
Yeah, I think esports is definitely becoming more and more popular, especially I think it's gotten an even bigger spotlight given that it's basically the only thing people can do. So like Nintendo Switches are completely out of stock everywhere, you know, PlayStations and Xboxes. Also in the Concordia International Center, we have an Xbox as well. So we got FIFA because we wanted to make our space like your living room. So you can have more than one space too to hang out and play video games. But definitely the what do you guys call it? The arena. The arena
Yes.
has a lot more stuff going on.
Yeah, a little more than just one Xbox.
Yeah.
So Kelsey, you'll have to bring your Xbox over, and you can go head to head with Muhammad in Forza.
Oh my gosh, mine is more like Mario Kart. That's where I'm at.
That's your speed.
That's a little more my speed.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so if you guys have other questions, feel free to put it in there in the chat. Last reminder, in case you guys didn't see it, or if you weren't able to scroll up through the whole chat, we have a survey link here. If you complete that survey link, it is one raffle ticket for a prize that you could win. We give you when you come to campus. It also lets Lewis and I know how we did and what you liked and what you would prefer to see next time. If you still have questions that you remembered after you log off, that would be a great place to put them, and I'll make sure that Lewis gets those questions. And you guys can see his contact information and his Twitter. His Twitter is actually quite good. We follow it as well in the Concordia International Center. So also, if you scroll up, our YouTube channel is on there too. So if you missed a section or your internet cut out for a previous Concordia 101 event, you can see the videos there. We're slowly adding them on, but connectivity issues are happening. So it takes a long time to upload a video and process and do all of that, but they're slowly going on there. I just added 2 more today. So feel free to check that out. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you guys so much for coming. Again, right after this is the student meet and greet. So it's just gonna be a fun event. It's completely optional. If you're like trying to stay awake and you wanna go back to sleep, I understand. But we're gonna play a game and get to know each other a little more, and so you guys can get to know your fellow classmates.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, thank you everyone for coming and watching and asking questions and talking in chat. You are all very well taken care of with Kelsey. If you have any questions on admissions or anything related to the school, she's your girl. She's been here longer than I have too, so she knows the place in and out. If you want to talk about anything esports related, even like, you know, I don't want you guys to all feel pressured, you know, like if you talk to me, you don't have to join the team or anything. I just want you to ask questions about collegiate esport, about maybe a game that you play or you're wondering if it can be considered an esport. My email's in there, Twitter's on there too. Please reach out, you know, with summer, with being stuck at home, we all do have some extra time. So no one be, you know, don't feel like you're inconveniencing us with any questions. We love hearing from students, and ultimately questions that you have for us. You know, I don't give presentations like this a lot. You'll really rarely hear me talk for 20 minutes straight ever. So any like questions or feedback you have for me on what I talked through today, maybe there's something glaring that I didn't get to talk about, will help me prepare better for events like this down the road.
Definitely. All right. Well, thank you guys. Maybe see you soon. Otherwise, good morning, good day, good evening, whatever time it might be for you. I hope to see you soon and on campus. Bye.
See ya.